Assalamualaikum and very good morning. My name is Khairul Amin bin Zaironi, a final year student of Bachelor of Science in Applied Microbiology. Today I will be presenting my research proposal titled The Impact of Single and Dual Culture Fermentation of Arabica Coffee Beans using Lactic Acid Bacteria and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this is an overview of my presentation. I will begin with the introduction and problem statement, followed by the objective, literature review, and methodology. Finally, I will conclude with the project timeline, expected outcomes, and a reference. Next, to give you some background, coffee is a massive industry, comprising 60 to 70% of global production due to its complex aroma profile. Currently, the industry relies heavily on spontaneous fermentation. While this is cost effective, it relies on wild microbes, which often leads to inconsistent flavor profiles. As advanced technology is introduced, the industry is now shifting towards controlled fermentation. This involves manipulating microbial communities to ensure quality. My study focuses on two specific groups, which is lactic acid bacteria, Lactobacillus plantarum, which crucial in modulates acidity and prevents spoilage, and yeast as Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which crucial in its desirable floral and fruity aromatic notes. However, most studies focus on single strains only. There is limited research on the synergistic potential, specifically how these two microbes work together to drive critical flavor compounds like ethanol and ethyl acetate. Next, for my problem statement, first, strictly uncontrollable spontaneous fermentation is unreliable. It leads to poor reproducibility. It makes you'll never get the exact same cup of coffee twice. Second, there is a significant lack of comparative data. We do not fully understand the metabolic efficiency and interaction difference between a single culture system versus a dual culture system involving Lactobacillus plantarum and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. And my research aims to fill this gap. Therefore, the objective of this study are to compare the microbial growth performance in single versus dual culture fermentation and to analyze the nutritional and metabolite profiles of the fermented substrate. Why is this significant? If successful, this study will help optimize coffee quality by establishing a standard protocol for dual culture fermentation. By replacing inconsistent spontaneous methods, we can ensure reproducible flavors and minimize post-harvest waste for the industry. In my literature review, I focus on the mechanism of fermentation. We are moving from spontaneous to controlled solid-state fermentation. Solid-state fermentation is crucial because it reduces water usage and ensures uniform microbial activity. I'm looking specifically at microbial status, such as lactic acid bacteria that provide rapid acidification, which suppress spoilage and act as biopreservation and adds a body to the coffee. As for yeast, it produces pectins to break down mucilage and generate a volatile esters. The most exciting aspect is the dual culture synergism. This involves metabolic cross-feeding, which is a symbiotic interaction where yeast produce vitamins to support lactic acid bacteria, while lactic acid bacteria creates an acidic environment favorable for yeast. This mix inoculation is expected to yield superior sensory scores compared to single culture fermentation. Next, moving on to my methodology, which is divided into four main phases. Phase one is preparation. I will prepare the microbial strains, Lactobacillus plantarum and Saccharomyces cerevisiae, standardized to a concentration 10 power of 7. I will also prepare a green Arabica coffee beans by dry cleaning and over drying them at 50 degrees Celsius. Next, phase two is a solid state fermentation. I will run two sets, a single culture setup and a dual culture setup. Next, phase three is analysis. For growth performance, I will perform a viable cell counting using MRSS agar for Lactobacillus plantarum and PDA agar for Saccharomyces cerevisiae. For nutritional profiling, I will analyze tetrable acidity, moisture, ash, and crude protein via proximate analysis. For metabolite profiling, I will use DCMS to identify target volatile compounds like esters, alcohols, and aldehyde, as well as caffeine and phenolic compounds. Finally, statistical analysis data will be analyzed using one-way ANOVA and test to ensure significance. Here is my Gantt chart outlining the 15-week timeline. I have allocated the first 4 weeks for the preparation of media, substrates, and inocular. The fermentation process and growth performance analysis are scheduled from week 5 to week 9. Data analysis and thesis writing will follow in the final weeks. So based on the methodology, here are my expected outcomes. A single culture should show specific traits and enhance acidity for lactobacteria and fruity notes for yeast. For the dual cultures, however, are expected to create a more complex metabolic profile, combining high lactic acid with volatile aromas. I acknowledge potential limitations such as microbial competition for nutrients. To mitigate to mitigate this limitation, I am using a standardized inoculum to ensure an equal starting points. There is also a risk of contamination, and to prevent this, I will strictly adhere to aseptic techniques within a biosafety cabinet. And lastly, for equipment availability, I have alternative analysis method like titrable acidity prepared. Here is the list of reference used to support this proposal, focusing on recent studies from 2023 and 2025. And that concludes my presentation of the fermentation of Arabica coffee beans. I believe this study will contribute significantly to consistent coffee production. Thank you, and I welcome any questions.